Andre, may you please, share your screen?
Okay. Let me share it now.
Okay, so to everyone, while Andre is trying to share the screen, if you have any questions, you can always use the chat room. There you can be able to send a message on chat, then we'll be able to know if you have to make an input. Okay, so are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now, before these webinar, Andre did, a survey just for us to know who has attended the webinar before and who is new. From the survey, 58% indicated that they have attended the webinar before. So we have, 41%, or maybe 41.7% of the people that are new. So we will try to be as patient as possible so that people gain experiences of how to use a webinar as a tool for communication. Okay, so we also asked if people would like to have, maybe 1 minute update about the country fora, and a lot of people wanted to share, and we're gonna give that 1 minute. And please let us stick to 1 minute so that we are able to accommodate everybody. And if you can do it within 30 seconds, the better. Okay, so these are the people that we will start with. We will start with Ethiopia. Tadessa, you can unmute yourself and spend a few minutes and share some updates from Ethiopia. Tadessa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, actually, am I supposed to share you updates or just about myself or my institute? Sorry, I joined lately, so.
Okay, you can do both. You can do both, just a quick one, who you are, institution, but mainly some update from Ethiopia Country Forum.
Okay, thank you again. My name is Tadessa.
Tadessa, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost him.
Okay. Different problems. Sorry.
Tadessa, we are losing you.
Okay, maybe I'm using some.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
My
yeah.
Connection is a little bit weak. Okay. Now can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, so actually I'm working in Ethiopian Institute of Agricultural Research, as I said before. And yeah, we are working on different ICT projects for modernizing the research process in our institute. But actually, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, well, actually we don't have that much updates, but currently we are having different projects related to the knowledge management for cultural research, and we have also a project on with the warning system.
Okay, Tadessa, you are... Okay, you are breaking. Let me...
Hello?
Yes, you are breaking. That's fine. Andre, I need that screen back.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to Uganda. Do we have anybody from Uganda? I didn't see anyone. Maybe we go to Kenya. Is there any update from Kenya? Okay, no update from Kenya. I did not see anyone from South Africa. Messi, can we get an update from
It's
you?
Messi now. There
Yes,
is this
Messi.
Messi of Oluwa Adeogun, not
Oh.
my Messi.
Oh, yes, but she's not here on the call, is she?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're gonna skip. Okay, I'll just check from my Zimbabwe. Do we have an update from Zimbabwe?
Then maybe I can just say something on Nigeria.
Yes.
The latest is the nomination of a GFRAS rep for West Africa. And the person nominated is one Dr. Koyenihan to represent West Africa on GFRAS.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
She's been an active member of AFAAS country, NEFAS in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any updates from Zimbabwe?
Not much, just to confirm that. No?
Okay. That's fine. Any updates from Benin? Yeah, I cannot. Yeah. Anything from Benin? I cannot hear you, Bosedim. Okay, from Ethiopia, okay, Tanzania, we don't have anybody from Tanzania, do we?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, not from the call. From South Africa, maybe what I can update, well, I'm not Mapula, but at least I know what is happening there. The whole process of establishing a country fora is actually going pretty well. They had a number of meetings and they were planning to actually get it launched, I think somewhere in July or so. Okay, good. Yebo.
Can I give some little update about the country fora in Uganda?
Yes, yes, please.
We had a national symposium for extension and advisory services in March, at the end of March this year. And what was very interesting in this is the Ministry of Agriculture it sponsored the event heavily. And then they sponsored most of their district coordinators to participate in the national extension event that is organized by the Uganda Forum for Agriculture Advisory Services. So I think that is a highlight that I wanted to share.
Hey, thank you so much, Jerry. Okay, I think on that note, Andre, I will say maybe we go straight to the program.
Yeah, can I also give some update about Madagascar first?
Yes, sorry, I forgot you, sorry. Yes, please go ahead, yes.
Yeah, so just last week we had an evaluation team coming from Rome. So we have an FAO consulting group now who is going to re-evaluate how we do extension in Madagascar and eventually improve how the forum is working with all the other stakeholders. So yeah, the result of this work will be done in, will be delivered in 3 months. So I'll be able to give more information on how we'll improve the country fora in 3 months from Madagascar.
That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Good. I know Andre has sent, you know, the structure of the webinar. Surely it was a summary. We have already done the summary. Andre, do you want to put that slide
Okay.
with the agenda?
You mean the program now, the training now?
Yeah, the training.
Okay.
I think what we have done now, we have done the introductions. We have done, you know, the quick, you know, update of what is happening in the different, you know, country forums. So I would suggest that, you know, we go straight, you know, to the training and why we are actually using the ICTs. If people might recall, at the beginning, people were asked to prioritize the things that they wanted us to prioritize for the webinars, and the use of ICTs came up very strongly. It is for this reason that we are doing, you know, the ICTs now. Yes, so I'll give it over to you, Andre, to take over.
Okay. Thank you, Lami. So the topic that we will be discussing about today is the use of ICT for effective knowledge management. And this is in preparation also for the Agricultural Extension Week, this taking place in Côte d'Ivoire this year, I think. Yeah, everything that I will present here is based on these 2 documents. One is the GGP Notes that was developed by GFRAS, What Works in Rural Advisory Service, and especially on the ICT parts of this document, and also on the NELK, New Extensionist Learning Kit, especially Module 6, Basic Knowledge Management and Extension. As Halami just mentioned, we agreed that we will go more in depth on the use of ICT for knowledge management for today. And this is what I'm going to start with now. So the question is, what is knowledge management first? And if you look at the Module 6 of the NELK, there's an answer somewhere there, which clearly states that knowledge management is the process of capturing, developing, sharing, communicating, and effectively using knowledge. So this is the kind of definition I'm taking for this presentation. Let us just remember that knowledge management is a process where there's capturing, developing, sharing, and communicating and using knowledge. Now, we will be very interactive in this training. Let's talk first about knowledge management and capturing information, capturing knowledge. How do we capture? The way we do it usually in the past was through just taking a piece of paper and writing or drawing something or trying to put a diagram of what we understood from a situation. This is how we captured information in the past. Now these days, how do we capture might be a bit different. We will, for instance, use a computer in some case, and this is more often now. I don't know how many of us used to do this, but I like to send my photo of what I eat in different places to my wife so that she knows I'm taking care of my body. So here we see we capture also photos, graphics using a mobile phone. And even very recently, knowledge is even more captured on videos and audio files. What you see here is something that is happening in Ethiopia actually with digital green. A farmer trained by a technician, an extensionist, and the third person who is just capturing what's happening and disseminating that later through different channels. So that was just about capturing information. How do we capture information and knowledge? And I want to have an idea now about everybody who is attending here. How do you usually capture information? How do you usually take notes or memorize something that happens around you in the extension work you are doing? So I just put a poll, a questionnaire there, and can everyone who is in the webinar now, can you just pick one answer? Someone has already started for each question. So question number 1 is, what is the most used mean for capturing information or knowledge in your experience? Is it paper, audio, video? And the second question is, which device do you use most? Paper, audio recorder, digital camera, video camera, phone? And please just click one of these, one for each question, and you will just see after which mean do we use most. So over to you again, Halami, for the interpretation of this poll after.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see, you can share once they're done.
There it is.
Okay. But this is the last one. Okay. No, this is the last one, Andre.
There are 2 questions.
Okay. But this is
Yeah.
this one is the results for have you participated in a webinar before?
Oh, is that
Yeah.
what you see now?
Yeah, this is what I see. Okay, now I see the proper one.
Okay.
So here we have 11 people participating in the poll. I don't know why it's 11 anyway. So for the first one, the paper, so 82% of the people use paper as a means of capturing information knowledge, and only 18% or 2 people are using video recording. I think there's a lot of learning to happen here. For the second question, which device do you use the most? 18%, which is 2 people, they use paper. Audio recording, there's nobody actually using that. Some people are using the digital camera, that is 27% or 3 people. We also have a person who uses a video camera, and 45% use a phone. So from the poll here, we can see that audio recording, it's very, very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that summary of the poll. Now we are continuing. So we said knowledge management is about capturing, but it's also about sharing and communicating. And the question now is, how do we share and communicate knowledge? So there are different ways of doing it. We see here some of the photos you can see in the NELK PowerPoint. The first photo is someone talking. We're using a microphone. And on the other one, also explaining in the field. This is another way to share without having to be face-to-face. You can see here that a farmer is just looking for information on his mobile phone. Another one using a radio. And in the third photo, we can see a group of people looking at video. So these are all from the ICT for Extension in Ethiopia initiative. Now, the question that we would like to ask is, and it is open for 5 minutes. We can all contribute. Which one of these are the means that you use generally to share and to communicate information and knowledge? So we can open the floor for 5 minutes, and then we'll continue with the next slide. Who wants to talk? When you want to talk, you just unmute yourself. You click on the microphone on the left down corner of your screen.
What do we do?
Yeah, and Andre.
Okay.
Yes, Michael.
Andre? Yeah.
Yes, Michael.
Yeah. So one of the means of communicating knowledge is basically using the mass media, and especially radio, because it has a wider reach and it is very also cost effective.
Yeah.
And it also allows immediate feedback from listeners. So it helps you to know how far people are understanding the message you are putting across.
Mm-hmm. So that's one mean, radio, mass media.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a very powerful mean to reach a lot of people. How else do you share information? How else do you communicate? Someone else has something to say?
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yes,
Yes,
Messi.
please, Percy.
I think in the local setting, in communities, we don't want to do away with the local sharing methods that are already there in the communities.
Mm-hmm.
The use of local local drums, local drama, local that is the protocol that exists already in the local setting. The local groups, the chiefs, you want to harness all these to actually be able to communicate within a particular rural setting. But nowadays, for extension knowledge, we've been trying as much as possible to use the radio, like the last speaker said, and then the cell phone, especially for marketing information. The cell phone, and then technology information that has to do with technology, technical information, weather information, more of a cell phone and the radio.
Thank you, Dr. Mercy. That's very clear. Someone else want a last one? Last contribution on that?
Okay, may I speak from this is Tadasa from Ethiopia?
Yes.
Teresa.
Can you put your volume higher?
Okay, yeah. Actually, the pictures already on the slides shows how we are communicating with the farmers. So as others mentioned, we use radio, actually specifically the farm radio in Ethiopia is a non-governmental organization. So they are working on disseminating information to the farmers. And also we use mobile applications and SMS and IVRA services. Actually, we have different hotlines to advise farmers on the market information and also different agronomy and weather information. And also, actually, we have a farmers training centers. Actually, I don't exactly remember the numbers, but all over Ethiopia we have farmers training centers. So the development agents in different farmers training centers share the information to the farmers. Even best farmers also share their experience to other farmers. And also the Digital Green, which is a non-governmental organization, also work on the video-based knowledge sharing. So they use different video, they make video by farmers, and so they disseminate the information. So these are the different channels we use to reach the farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. I can help you. The number of FTCs in Ethiopia is 14,000, 14000.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have many FTC farmer training centers. You can imagine. Actually, most of the FTC centers are not that much equipped with ICT infrastructure or other facilities, but yeah, we have this much number of FTCs. Thank you, Andre.
Okay. Well, now let's have a look at this screen here. As you see, it comes from the document that I shared in page 89, what works in Rural Advisory Service. and it's table 3. Here you have a very elaborate synthesis of what works in ICT for different types of extension activities, for extension functions. So on the knowledge sharing, as we see, and as Michael was mentioning just before, for instance, TV broadcast is very appropriate. Video with DVD is very appropriate. Website, web portal, knowledge banks, and online repositories also is important. Smartphones and mobile applications and social media. So these are the tools that has been recognized as most appropriate during the surveys that GFRAS did. We see also that some tools are less appropriate, like video conferencing, and even some doesn't even have a star, like an e-learning platform for knowledge sharing. So you can please download this document. I will share the presentation later. Download the document, this document, because it's very helpful. It has a lot of information, and you can capitalize with what has already been done by others before. So before we move to the next next slide, is there any urgent comment on this?
Can I just ask a question? This is Mercy.
Yes, Mercy.
Those ones that are not with stars, that's just, yeah. In the same document, are there explanations on why they are not applicable?
Yeah, you can read the document. It's a quite big document, hundreds of pages, so you can have a look. There's no very detailed explanation about all these things, but it's just a result of the surveys and the studies that has been done. And it would depend also. For instance, in Europe, in the Western countries, website, portal, and maybe the social media can be a very strong knowledge sharing tool. But maybe in some part of Africa, websites are still not as powerful tool as in the Western countries. But this is because GFRAS is a global network. It's the synthesis of all the data that has been collected in different countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at least we know the trends. We know that in future we will move to that in that direction. Okay, so can I move to the next slide now?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so after talking about capturing, sharing, and communicating, now let's talk about development and usage of knowledge. How do we develop and how do we use knowledge? So first thing is, what is knowledge? We need to try to define that first. And as you see here, this is again taken from the NELK PowerPoint, Module 6. In the NELK, knowledge is represented in this pyramid with data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So these are the components that makes knowledge. From data, we have information, and then from gathering information, we have some understanding and knowledge, And from there, we have the ability to think and act using knowledge. Is everybody okay with this? So when we talk about knowledge here, or when we talk about knowledge in extension in general, it's not just the knowledge that is the practical and theoretical understanding of subject. It's also about information, it's the data, it's the wisdom. All these are components of knowledge. Now, how do we manage, how do we develop and use knowledge? So there are two arrows here, one which shows knowledge for, okay, someone is trying to, okay. So one arrow is showing, oops. The blue arrow is going on the right side, on the left side. This is knowledge for personal productivity. But what we want to talk here is more about knowledge for extension and advisory service. So as you see in this graphic, and this again is taken from the GGP notes, to develop, to build, and to be able to use knowledge, you need to start with the first step, which is needs assessment. You start with needs assessment. What are the needs from the farmers? And then you do a benchmark survey. And first step, you develop content from the needs assessment and the benchmark survey. You know what is most requested from your target group, your audience, and then knowing the complexity or the type of knowledge that is required, you will select the ICT tool that is appropriate and develop and test. It might be an application, it might be a portal, it might be video, it might be a radio program, but you select your tool, your device, your media, you develop, then you test, and when it's done, finalize, you start create awareness about the program, and if there is a need for registration, you ask people to register, for instance, in a forum, or if there is a special mobile service, then they have to register. And then the extension work starts, and you open doors to partnership. Point 7, integrate even more services so that there's a bigger network, more possibility for people to link, to join. And when all these steps are going smoothly, you start monitoring and ensuring that things are getting more and more stable. When things are stable, or even if it's not stable, you have to evaluate and make some impact assessment. That's point 9. And from the impact assessment, again, you will restart the same process as before, re-evaluating what are the needs of your target group, or if you need to change also your target group before going to the content again and the tools and so on. So this is the process for knowledge development and usage that is recommended in page 87 of the GFRAS GGP notes. Now, discussion. Is there something we want to say about this, especially at what level you are actually, at what stage, I mean, you are, and what are the difficulties you are encountering? So now the floor is open again.
Can I just ask a question? This is Mercy.
Yes, Mercy.
On partnership, I could remember when we were developing the e-wallet in Nigeria for input distribution, the fertilizer distribution e-wallet program. My understanding of partnership is when we had to look for all these telephone companies that actually came to the aid of farmers by partnering with us to supply them with free telephones. That we were able to use, that is to configure to get the information to farmers on the e-wallet scheme. This is my understanding of partnership. But it seems the way you have explained it, I don't quite understand.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. In fact, partnership can start at any stage. Even in the needs assessment, you can partner with farmers, you can partner with some scientists, NGOs, and so on. At the development stage also, the content development stage also, you can partner with people who has already the content or the knowledge or the tools. And as you said, at some point, when you start the development of the ICT tools, you have to partner with some operators, some maybe some developers, and so on. So partnership can be everywhere there. But just in this stage, they put it at 0.7. I think just because all the tools are there, and now we need to have maximum impact. So after we start the extension and advisory and other service, we need to open and to broaden the impact we want to make. That's what I understand here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone else has.
May I also step in?
Yes, please.
It's Clammy here. So, Messi, we have to understand that frameworks like these are developed by people based on their different experiences. So it doesn't mean that this has to be cast in stone. The context might be different for different people, but this gives the guide. And when you look at your context, it does not necessarily mean that you have to start, maybe on 0.1 or 0.2 whatsoever. There might be different entry points. So, but this just give the framework of what are the key blocks that are very important. But it doesn't mean that people have to follow that process blindly. So context will always differ.
Yes. Can I also comment here? Samson?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Samson.
Yes, I think I fully agree with Hilami what she said. These steps are not necessarily in a chronological order. For instance, there are some issues that are cross-cutting. Sorry for coming late. I was disconnected. Then, like, for instance, the ICT component, the monitoring and evaluation. as Andre said, partnership. These are some cross-cutting issues where you can find at different stages. And as Hilami said, for instance, this could be different from one case to another.
Yes.
Yes.
Paul, you want to say something?
Yes, okay.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can we
Paul.
say something?
Yes, go ahead. Is that Paul?
No, that is Davo from Benin.
Yes, David. Oh, yes, go ahead.
We could not connect in time, but we are successful now. And my problem is the place of extension, advisory, and other services. And I think that all the different steps concern extension. Extension will start either with the need assessment already and not at a point of time. And I think that it is very important that, as I think Samson said, it can be at any place to start. It is not an order, because extension, if it doesn't start with need assessment, that means that they are just at one point, and things people do the things and they just implement it. And I think that extension should start from the beginning to be able to contribute better, and also farmers and farmers group should also be involved from the beginning. If not, you look a little bit like a top-down approach, and this explains why many extension activities fail. And I think that the participation in the different aspects should appear, and this doesn't show it very clearly. And also, when we talk about the point 4, ICT selection, development, and testing, I think that you link it to the previous slide, because we should base in a number of criteria for selecting, even also with what farmers in developing countries context can be using it. And I think this is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Davito.
Yes.
Davito, I am just working on Davito. We do not, you just sent me an invitation, and I'm working with Davito.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just
maybe
say
let me
something, please?
just chip in from what we are seeing. Okay, Messi, just one moment. I saw Paul wrote something. Paul Fudge. Let me give Paul a chance. Paul? Because I'm also monitoring the chat. So I see Paul said something. Paul Fudge, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I think my point is that if you look at the things that are in that chart, some of them are supposed to be done concurrently rather than one after another as they are did. So it means we may lose out one or two things if we do one after another. That was my point.
Yes, that is true. Messi, you can chip in?
Yeah, I just want to say that when we look at this whole number of steps or process, one thing that we should understand is it has to be participatory. If it is not participatory, then it's going to be a top-down thing, just like Simply said or Davito said. So it has to be participatory right from the need assessment, so everybody is carried along so that we can all implement together. This is very important. So putting extension, advisory services, and others as number 6, I want to say, it has to be even right from the beginning, more so that in Africa today, we are talking about value chain agriculture. We are talking about all-inclusive. We are talking about so many things that should bring people together, right from the conceptualization, need assessment, conceptualization, implementation, evaluation. Thank you.
let me just in and really summarize what we are saying. So yes, we agree that there are those different steps. If I were to use an example of we go to a doctor, different people go to a doctor. We all have different parts of our bodies, and the doctor does the need assessment by asking, why are you here? And the starting point will be on the issues that is troubling you. If I go to the doctor with a headache, he still does the need assessment, but he's going to start with a headache for me, but he might start with a Panado for a leg for somebody else, depending on the need. So I'm agreeing with everybody that, yes, this thing is just a framework. And once you have done your need assessment, then you will determine where the entry point is for your different contexts. So this just, give the frame, and the frame bright bluntly. And some of the steps can happen concurrently. It's just to give the frame based on experience of some of the elements that are critical to be able to do it.
Yes. Thank you.
Andre.
Thank you very much.
Andre.
Yeah, let's move to the next slide after this this last contribution from is it Michael?
Yeah, from Ghana.
Yes. I just want to know what is the best approach to doing a needs assessment. Now, for example, if an agriculturist, can you go to the field, see a few things, and maybe based upon that, you develop a content, or you have to bring farmers together before you develop a content to address the problem?
Okay, so that question is open for everybody. I know it will end with there's no best, but just the best fit solution always, because context has to be considered.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Samson.
Yes, Samson.
Yes, I think, this case, it should be specific when we are making, this question open, at what time shall we really conduct need assessment? It depends. But if we take the case in using ICT, when you refer back this document, the original document of where Andre used this diagram, these are the steps for implementation of ICT-enabled extension and advisory services. So let's think of for which type of extension service are we planning to use ICT. That really matters when and how to conduct the need assessment. So that is the first step. So it depends the subject matter that you are dealing, or the service, the type of service that you are providing, and also the type of clients or beneficiaries you are targeting, and so on. So that is really, it determines when and how to conduct the capacity, the need assessment. So let's keep in our mind using in relation to ICT, not generally open for any extension and advisory services. That need assessment is meant to decide which ICT tool to use to make your extension service more effective. So this diagram, it really shows these are the steps to be followed for implementation of ICT-enabled extension and advisory services.
And I think maybe you have to identify a problem, and then you know how to use ICT to solve it. Because if you already have an ICT in focus before you want to determine a problem, you may not address some specific problems. That is my view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. No, and that is true. Yeah, it is true. And also how we do need assessment vary. For example, when you're using ICTs, it cannot be demand driven, because there are so many things that people will not even demand because we don't know. So how you do that needs assessment, you need to be creative enough to also create awareness of what else people can demand. So it also challenges that whole demand driven, like what Andre is showing us. if we will demand, we will just, demand the things that we know. But with ICTs, and there are so many other things that he exposes us to, and we say, oh, okay, that is useful, that is useful. So it is very interesting to bring that into the mix. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. That was very interesting discussion. Maybe we can start summarizing a little bit. Our focus also is to see how we can feed into the next extension week using ICT for knowledge management. And I have a summary here. This is a table, again, taken from the GGP Notes. It's on page 88. To use or not to use ICT for us, for EAS, that is the question. And there's an analysis that we can see here. It might depend, it might change slightly from place to place, from context to context. But in general, you can read here, and I'll give you 1 minute just to go through quickly all the strengths, the weakness, opportunities, and challenges that we have in ICT for EAS. So we can see some strengths: better access, cost effectiveness, anytime, anywhere. Some weakness: lack of personal touch. Some opportunities. Opportunity is very important here. Continuous improvement of ICT infrastructure. Nowadays, ICT infrastructure is improving everywhere worldwide. Penetration of high-end mobile phones. ICT reduced costs. And multiplayers in AES service provision using ICTs. Of course, there are some challenges also. It's not everywhere that you have ICT, that you have good infrastructure. There are language barrier, literacy. So having looked at that, let's focus in the next 5 minutes on this question. What can we do? What can we propose in terms of ICT for KM for the coming extension week?
Yeah, this is Samson. Yes.
Yes, please, Samson.
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. That summary really shows what are the strengths, weakness, opportunity, and challenges of ICT in general. So when we customize or when we use that ICT, especially for knowledge management, this knowledge management is all about collecting or curating, documenting, packaging, sharing, and get feedback. These are some of the processes that really involve in knowledge management. So in different stage, how are we going to really use ICT in a best way in the process of knowledge management steps? Do you see what I mean? Because knowledge management, it is a process starting from collecting information, packaging, then sharing, then also getting feedback mechanisms. So which type of ICT tool are we going to use for different stages of the knowledge management process? And how are we going to select how are we going to select the best or cost-effective ICT tools, especially considering the farmers, the smallholder farmers, and also the different value chain actors, and so on. What are the different criteria and so on. So I would like to see that in the next few weeks to focus our discussion around those steps in the knowledge management process. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Andre.
Samson.
Yeah, Andre.
Yes, yes, Michael.
Andre, yeah, thank you very much. Three important very words: information, communication, technology. I think there are three things that you have to look at very critically. The information, how is it relevant to the situation? Now, which communication tool are we using? And then which technology are we going to use to communicate that information that we want to get to the farmer? So we have to look at these things very critically, especially the communication tool that we'll be using. How effective will it be? How easily can it be used? And maybe when we assess this thing, to help us to know what of these ones we should use for knowledge management as far as extension delivery is concerned.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael. I think Nadine also has to say something. She wants to say something. Can you unmute yourself? Nadine?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Emmanuel. Oh,
yes.
Emmanuel
Sorry
is
to
there.
be late. Sorry to be late. I was trying to connect. So I don't know, but I listened to Samson, and I think before talking about this whole process, it's very important for us to see what are the target audiences. First of all, are we talking about farmers? Are we talking about extension workers? Are we talking about the whole value chain actors? First of all. Second, when we have these audience or target groups, we have to package according we have to package the knowledge according to each group, because the knowledge for farmers is not the same with extension workers. It's not the same with input sellers. It's not the same. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So after that, we need to choose the tools or the platforms or channels to reach farmers. Talking about ICT, how can we reach farmers? Can we reach farmers with SMS? As an example. Can we reach farmers with Facebook? Can we reach farmers with YouTube? So each group has its own tools or platforms. So that's the work before talking about this process and so on. So this is my contribution for now. I know I'm late, maybe because you talked about it before. I don't know.
No, you're not late. You're very timely. Thank you very much.
Can I just say something? This is Messi.
Yeah, but just to focus a little bit more, as Emmanuel was saying, what is our target, our audience? So let's try to focus a little bit on the people who will attend the extension week and what we want these people to bring back or to share when they will be back home using ICT in knowledge management. So the knowledge management will start from maybe just before the extension week, during the extension week, and after the extension week. How do we do the knowledge management? What are the content? For whom are these content? and which tools, which ICT tools are we going to use before, during, and after the extension week? I was saying MI is coming at the right time because he's one of the key person who is concerned about this. But I think everybody here should have some ideas and propose. We can talk more about ICT for KM for farmers maybe later and maybe even the next session. But for now, what are we going to bring for the next extension week, knowing that most people who attend it are extensionists?
Can I say something, please?
Yes, Mercy?
Yeah, for the next extension week, I think our focus should not only be for the extension guys that we attend. I think we're also expecting farmers, the practitioners themselves, to attend this extension week. So the audience, analysis of the audience for the extension week is very important. When we just think it's only for extension guys, I think this has been one of the issues that came up from the previous extension weeks, that farmers are not represented in our extension week, and we try as much as possible in the next extension week to carry them along. I think this is very important. And then when we also look at it, we want to carry along all actors along the value chain, because governments in Africa are talking about commodity value chains. Then in our extension week, if we should limit ourselves just to extension guys, then we are not carrying all actors along. So when we are looking at these tools, we want to look at tools that we address all these people that we want to bring together. So audience analysis is still very important. We don't just, assume that the extension week is only for extension guys. I think there are some other important people that are coming to attend the extension week.
Okay, thank you very much. You are absolutely right.
Andy, can I say something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Angelique from Rwanda.
Okay. Good afternoon, Angelique.
I'm sorry I came late too, like Emmanuel, but I joined the first session. So I want to emphasize what Mercy was talking about, because when we talk about extension week, we may have to focus, of course, with also the farmers who are our target audience at the end. Because if we are talking extensionists, at the end we are going to serve for the farmers. So I was going to emphasize to what Mercy was talking about, considering, of course, extension guys, farmers, researchers whom we cannot even left behind, and academia who are normally attending our extension week. So I think if we consider this in general, of course, with a focus of having results that we reach to the farmers to help them improving what they are doing, it will help us to package what we are planning, whatever knowledge that we are packaging, but also even the technologies that we have to use for communication, for communicating to them. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Andre.
Yes, Emmanuel. And by the way, Emmanuel, can you do a quick advertisement about the extension week? What are the topics and so on, so that we are updated? When is it happening? The circumstances, please.
Yes. Right now, we are about to revise the dates because there is a problem with the agenda of the Ministry of Agriculture in Cote d'Ivoire. So hopefully the new date will be 25th to 29th November, hopefully. So it's not yet confirmed. So it's just among us. It's not yet confirmed. And the topic, I will give the topic later. Let me search. But I just wanted to emphasize about the target groups. We talk about farmers, that's fine. We talk about extensionists, that's fine. But also there is an important group, we don't talk about them, but they are policymakers. These people, they are the ones who put in place policies, extension policies in their countries. So, and we know that in Africa, we have many issues about policies regarding extension. And we need to bring them on board and to see how we can influence, you know, their policies, how we can work with them closely to improve policies at country level. And it is important to have them on board during Extension Week to show that they are not just, I don't know how to say it, but they are very important. Because if policies, the environment is not clear, it's not good, I think farmers, even extensionists, will not have more opportunities to express or to do what they have to do.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Emile. That we all agree about that, I think.
Yes, this is Samson.
Yeah, and I will take the opportunity to ask also Samson to introduce a little bit about what we can expect in the next webinar, because the next webinar might be more on how ICT has been used in some countries. And actually, Ethiopia is leading something, so we are going to invite them to present what has been done in the next webinar.
Okay, that one, I mean, when time comes, I will update, I mean, what we did on ICT for agriculture extension in Ethiopia. But I mean, coming back to your question, because now, if I understood you correctly, what you're asking is what we need to consider in terms of ICT for knowledge management for the upcoming extension week. Is that right?
Yes.
That is the question which you asked. So far, which I have been hearing are more of the details or the focus area. So for me, I fully agree what has been suggested by Mercy in terms of analysis of audience, which is very important. And also I fully agree also with Emma, I mean, who are really the actual audience and so on. But for me, generally, we need to create a common understanding about what's all about knowledge management. How are we really perceiving in terms of concept? And also, what about when we say ICT? I know it looks very ordinary or is like an introductory or preliminary thing, but having a common understanding in terms of concepts of knowledge management, that is one issue. Then what are really the elements or the pillars of knowledge management? So unless we have this kind of common understanding of base, similar base, then we cannot talk about the application of ICT in knowledge management. Then later on, we can think of how really with that common understanding with the concept and the elements of knowledge management, then we can think of how best we can apply ICT for knowledge management. Although the details, the audience analysis, how to collect information, how to package the content, and so these are almost parts of the process. So I think for me, we need to focus on one concept, then what are the elements, then the process and application of ICT knowledge management. So these are my propositions. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Just maybe to try to summarize a little bit, and we are going to end in the next minutes. Knowledge management was defined as a process of capturing, developing, sharing, communicating, and effectively using knowledge. That is the basic definition that we have in Module 6 of the NELK. And for now, we will just stick on that. We will use that definition. Knowledge management can be very complex, but I think the NELK is simple enough, so we can use that one. If we manage to capture, to share, communicate, develop, and use knowledge as we just looked at it today. It should be already a big step that we do in organizing events at AFAAS.
Hello.
Yeah. So now our time is finished. I think we will take 5 minutes and not more. Can we start summarizing, and Alami will summarize, we'll wrap up after.
May I add just one thing on knowledge management is a process of capturing storage. Storage aspect is very important.
Yes, storage and organization of data, of information.
Yeah, and I think that for the next extension week, it will be very good that there is a session on the state of ICT in the different countries. And that will help to know the state of the situation and propose something on the use of ICT in extension in the different countries. Thank you. That is from Davito and Davo from Benin.
Thank you very much, Davo. That is a concrete, very concrete proposal. Can you just write it on the WhatsApp so that we don't lose track of that, even if we will share this video also after? Okay. So can we summarize now, Alami?
Yes. And thank you very much. Looking at the list, we have about 15 people on the call. Thank you very much for joining. Maybe just in summary, I think it's very important for me to also highlight the context within which the new extension is Learning Kit was developed. For example, when you look at this module on knowledge management, it says Introduction to Knowledge Management. So these modules provide a basic, framework that is open to be adapted and tailor-made for the different contexts. So I'm saying that so that I've seen, the discussions when we're looking at these different frameworks and people saying, okay, in my context, it doesn't look like this and that is okay. It's okay. We use this material and to tailor-make it. Looking at the ICTs as well, that module does not talk about ICTs, but we felt it's very important to bring the ICT component in order to enrich the training. So yes, we want to encourage you to actually do that. You innovate, you look at the different contexts and add, value to the training and the module so that it becomes more relevant for what you do. We will if you have additional input, we have a WhatsApp group, and I think we'll be working very closely with Andre and Samson and Messi and probably others to really collate some of the priorities and talking also with the organizers for the extension week to see what makes sense to take up. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody, and see you. Yeah, the next, now we can put video on.
Yes.
So that we can see our face for today.
Hi, please.
Yes.
So, yeah. The next session will be on the 20th. Yeah, 20th of June. Because we agreed that we organize the webinar on the 3rd Thursday of each month. So the next one is on 20th, and it will be more focused on focusing on real ICT tools this time.
Yes.
And I think we'll have cases from Ethiopia, especially from Ethiopia. Okay, so thank you very much.
Maybe the Yeah, the last thing, maybe just to inform you that the Caribbean network, they are also conducting, you know, some NELK training virtually. So it's quite interesting for us to see the dynamics and the different focus. So yes, and congratulations to AFAAS, and also congratulations to CAIPNet for taking the lead to provide, you know, these trainings.
Okay, just for your information also, tomorrow and Saturday, the Ethiopian team also, they are organizing training on knowledge management, which is, I mean, we shall give you update also in the next webinar.
Great.
Yeah.
So goodbye, everybody.
Thank
See you next
Bye-bye.
time.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.